When I first came, there was a wave of people being deported, and it was a problem.
From your country?
Yes, and not just from my country, there were other countries as well. Here you study and you get your degree, you go back home. There's no system for students to get a job or to continue internship. Even if you continued for postgraduates, it's not that simple, and you have to really be good with Chinese going forward.
So today we are here with a very, very special person. This is Dania. She's from Nigeria. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Dania. I've been in China for about almost 6 years now. I came here to do undergrad in medicine at Suzhou University.
Why did you move to China? Is China like a really big thing in Nigeria or?
So actually China wasn't a big thing then. People used to move to Ukraine and Cyprus and the Caribbean to study medicine. But when I was looking for an opportunity to study abroad, and I did an exam, it was almost like an A-level exam, and they said, oh, if you don't want to do Ukraine, you can consider some other options like China. And I was like, people go to study medicine in China? And then I did some research and I found out that people do actually move to China, especially even Nigerians. And so I was like, it would be a good opportunity, I guess. And then I applied there.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about like what is it like to be a student, like a medicine student here in China?
Honestly, it is very complicated being a medical student here. Everywhere you go, there's pros and cons. And here for sure, you know, you have things of like being exposed to different cultures, especially being exposed to Chinese culture, and then you meet other people from other countries. It's a nice way, you know, to be away from home, to have a new experience as
to be independent.
To be independent kind of as a growing adult or something like that. But then there's also the con side is like the culture shock. Sometimes it doesn't really meet. There's still always this divide between two different sides. As an international student, I did experience this a lot. Sometimes I wish the gap was closed more, but it just couldn't. You know, we'll talk to our administrator about something and, you know, an idea or something, but it's like they don't understand or they cannot work with that because that's not the way things are done here. I just thought that as an international student, you have more ways to express yourself, and, you know, everybody's from different backgrounds and all ideas might be welcome, but it's not so here. The educational part is still pretty okay. It's a good, cheaper option, to be honest, but I just feel like for the future, maybe I'll have made certain decisions before coming here as well.
So it's more economically accessible to come here to China than going to other countries.
Yeah, especially to the US or like, you know, places where it's like really cheap.
The US is very expensive.
It's very expensive.
Is there anything you wish you have known before coming to China?
If I'd learned something before coming here, or something I would have learned before coming here, I would say is like knowing that this is how they do things and I cannot change that system, and knowing what to do for the future, because, you know, here you study and you get your degree, you go back home. There's no system for students to get a job or to continue internship. Even if you continued for postgraduates, it's not that simple, and you have to really be good with Chinese going forward. So what happens to students who are not so developed in Chinese? Of course, you might know Chinese, but, you know, you're not so developed in that way of doing medical Chinese in a hospital and working.
You know it to that degree.
The language is seriously something like, I knew that it was a different language that they spoke here, but I didn't think of how far, like, it's way outside of anything, and it's hard, true. Normal conversational Chinese is very different from medical Chinese. That's another thing. Like, we even had to take semesters of like medical Chinese and learn new terms and certain terms in the hospital, because you wouldn't understand what they're saying unless they're talking about food, which is something you hear all in other places aside the hospital, or they're talking about something random. You might understand that, exactly. Where you're from, you understand that, but medical terms, there's no way. Although they will speak English, but there are times where it's like simpler for them to speak Chinese, and they might translate it, but if you know it, it's actually straightforward, so you don't have to go through the double process of, you know, hearing them speak it and then translating it.
Besides the language, just being a foreigner, it separates you automatically from Chinese people, you know? Do you feel different, you as a black woman here in China? Do you feel different?
Yeah, I do feel different. Everybody from Nigeria is black. It's just what it is. But coming here, everybody was kind of fascinated, and you have people staring at you, and it's like, oh, I'm really different. Of course, there are people who experience that in other parts of the world as well, but for me, it was a different experience coming here. When they see you, it doesn't matter how light-skinned you are, or it's just like you're still, you know, a foreigner, you're still black, you know. You first learn the words of here, and you know that, oh, they're talking about a black person and stuff like that. It took a while, because you enter buses, you enter some spaces, and they'll just be like, everybody will just have this gasp, or they just look at you or take photos of you, and it just never gets old. Even to this day, there are places I enter and it's like people are like looking. I was really surprised when I first came and I experienced that. But yeah.
And how do you take that? Like, do you feel offended by that? Or do you say like, oh, maybe it's not like they're just curious?
Honestly, I had it both ways. I think genuinely there was a time I was like, I think these guys are just curious. They've never seen a black person who looks like this. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's your lucky day. You see me, so it must be nice for you. But there are other times where it's just like, this is just exhausting. Or you're in an elevator and you can hear them talking about your hair, and it's like they're wondering if you wash your hair or if you shower because you're dark skinned, and you're just like, oh no.
That's interesting.
You guys, that's not it. But yeah, after a while, I just let it go. I didn't get angry anymore or anything, but it is what it is.
Would you say there's a difference between how they treat you or other foreigners?
For sure, I know there's a difference, and I'm not even going to get into that. I mean, I can get into that too, but there are times where it's like, oh, this student who is from this country, because obviously when an American walks in the room and I walk into the room, they're going to talk to the American first. They're going to ask them all the questions because some of them are really fascinated by this idea. I also tend not to generalize because there's some people who are kind of open-minded who are Chinese as well, and they wouldn't really think of it that deep. But for the most part, you see people being fascinated about this, and they're like, oh, Megure, or that means American. It's like all fascinated about that. For Nigeria, I mean, they'll just ask, I'll be like, oh, you guys do football and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, this, that. But generally, I think even just being a black person, sometimes it might just hinder, you know, their thought process towards you. And that also extends to people from the Caribbeans and even African Americans sometimes, until they find out that, oh, they're not from a country in Africa. So that can be hard for people who come from those countries as well. But yeah, I do feel like there's a difference, for sure. There is a difference. And I think when I first came, there was a wave of people being deported, and it was a problem.
From your country?
Yes. And not just from my country, there were other countries as well. And all eyes would just be on you. And you know, once you find out you're Nigerian and you go to the bureau. There's this bureau I didn't like going to because it was always a problem. When you go there to work on a visa process, I mean, you only need the documents, the school assigned everything, but they still call us to a room for interview because I'm Nigerian. And it's like, that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything. Someone else could be from a different country and they may be doing something wrong, but you wouldn't know that because it's easy to just separate people based on where they're from. For them, there's no knowledge.
To a room too,
oh really? Yeah. Wow. Honestly, I don't even know where that came from. I don't know what it means. I don't know why they do it, but it is what it is.
Would you say there's a difference between being Black American or being Black African in China?
Honestly, I would say there's a difference. I think this conversation can also extend to people who are actually African American. I'm just African and I'm from Nigeria, but I have talked to maybe people who are maybe Nigerian British or just African American in general, and they will say like they didn't understand this whole thing, but now they kind of understand that, oh, they are kind of different because they have that privilege of maybe having a British passport or an American passport, but they're still black. And yeah, that's just it. I think there is a difference. There is a difference because they have those privileges as British citizens or American citizens. I do not. And I know it's partly obviously because of the state of our country, but I just think like every human being still deserves respect in some way, shape or form. But I think they were even surprised at how many Nigerians had come here and how intelligent people were, because, you know, we had leading people like Adura, who was like my senior and was getting all these scholarships, being at the top of the class, and then there was me, and it's like Gerald, Caleb, all these people, and they're like, oh, you guys really go to school and do all these things, and it's like, of course we go to school. Like, people go to school, but I don't know, some people just have this idea or this mentality and they just stick to it, this stereotype, and they stick to it. We all kind of have stereotypes, but
yeah, we do.
It's just something we can unlearn, but they've not gotten anywhere to unlearning some of the things. I'm still surprised every day. China is full of surprises.
How is it making friends here in China?
I've only ever really had many Chinese friends. So there was Mayue, that was the first Chinese person I had that was really a friend, and there was Lumia, and there was Nicole, and then Amanda, and then another Nicole, and then kind of like 7, and they're all women. I feel like it's very hard to make guy friends who are Chinese because they won't exactly approach you, and even when you approach them, they're just, I mean, they might reply you, but they're kind of shy in a way. In the beginning, it was hard because I'm a very social person, but everybody keeps to themselves here. Like, the dorms are full at 7 p.m. Nobody's outside, so even if you go for a walk on campus, you can't mingle with anyone. You would sit on your own table at the canteen, in the canteen, and it's like no one might even just say, hey, can I sit with you? Just, okay, you're a foreigner, and just ask question, even if it's random. Sometimes people will stop you to ask question, but That's it.
What do foreigners do for fun here in China?
There's a lot of things you can do for fun, you know. There's like teams you can join, maybe clubs or sport clubs generally. It's mostly sport. I think sport is like a big thing in Suzhou because that's the way you can meet other people.
That's
I met you through sports. So yeah. Other ways like through the religious community. I know that there's a Christian community here as well as Muslim community for sure. So you can meet other foreigners in you know, those ways. And other settings, maybe if it's like a lunch or like a school event, international school event, or a park run or something, you meet other people there, and people do those things for fun, or they go to clubs, you know, Friday nights, Saturday nights, depending.
What is it like to be Christian here in China?
I actually thought about it when I was moving here because I was like, are there churches in China? And, you know, will I attend a Chinese church where I don't understand the language and what am I going to do? It was very important for me, and I prayed about it that I was like, I still want to follow God even in my university. And
practice my religion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I still want to hold fast to my faith. And I prayed about it, and when I moved here, I just like, they told me there was an international community. I was told there was an international community, and I went to church my first Sunday here. I came on a Monday, then the next Sunday I just decided to check it out, and it was really awesome. It was really nice. There were so many foreigners. That was like my first time seeing the most amount of foreigners, aside from my school setting. At the church. And it's like all these people, but I noticed the Chinese people were not part. It was mostly, you know, people from other countries. They said there it was for foreign passport holders or natives of Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Or if they have spouses who are Chinese, then that's also okay. But
so regular Chinese, they don't go to church?
No, they don't go to the international church.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah, but they can go to the church. They have their own services that is separate from ours because they mostly speak Chinese, and the government has just made it that way to ensure the flow of like, if you have any religious practices or you want to worship in this way, this is how it's done here. Yeah, I'm actually thankful for the international community here. Like, they have helped me a lot. It's kind of sad because you see people come and go. It's an international community, but I've really grown a lot here. I'm just getting to know people, getting to listen to other people's ideas. Like, you get humble really quick because there's so many people who are different from you. Even the Nigerians who come here, there's still people we don't think alike as well. So you still have to be humble enough to learn people's ideas and
accept.
Yeah, and accept those things too, and you know, settle conflicts or just agree to disagree. And I'm thankful for the church in doing that. Even beyond just going to church, there were other spaces where the church would let you into. You know, they could help with academic stuff, they could help with social stuff as well. So
have you noticed that there's any different versions of the Bible here in China?
Not different versions of the Bible actually.
So it's the same.
It's the same Bible. It's just things are done differently from my country anyways, because like I said, it's a foreign community, people come from different places. Here it's still a Bible we believe in church, and they do their worship differently. You know, it's people from different places that are singing, and there's a lead pastor, and they have elders, and they have volunteers mostly. No one really gets employed in the church like that. It's volunteers because, like I said, people come and go, international community. So yeah, it's the same Bible. Things are just done differently from the way I grew up. You know, in my country, there's like stages to different things, and there's like this part, but here, same Bible, you know,
they have practices.
It's kind of the same practice, but they just have like pockets of communities. They have the men's ministry, women's ministry as well, children, but there's still the general one. There's still times where we have general services and general things, maybe if it's Easter, Christmas, or other celebrations. So yeah.
For you being a Christian person, is it hard for you to like stay during Christmas holidays in China, let's say? Because for me at least, it's like there's no Christmas here.
It was a difficult one for me to accept. When I found that out, I was like, hold on, we have to stay here for Christmas? I even had class my first Christmas here, honestly. I had class, it was very shocking, and over time I just had to accept it. So my last Christmas was 2016 with my family, and it's been so long. I really, really want to go home to celebrate Christmas and I grew up that way. You know, for them, they don't understand that, and we have to respect that because we are here, and that's just the way it is. So, yeah. It's just different. When I stayed here for Christmas, it was like, oh, there are no trees. You would only go to like hotels and you see trees because, it's international, maybe international hotels. Other international settings had trees, but there wasn't any decoration anywhere. You couldn't feel the vibe of Christmas, and nobody was all jolly and, in their free spirits, just giving you nice things. There was none of that here. Everybody was just about their own, everybody was about their own business, going to work, like, it's
living
just
their
normal.
own life.
Yeah.
What is it like dating in China? Have you dated foreigners, Chinese people? What's your experience?
So I would just conclude, I'm going to look straight into camera and I'll tell you the dating scene in China is chaotic. It's just, this is my expression. Because when I came here, I was still very young. I was 18 when I came here, and I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out myself. I'm in a new country. I don't think I need to date anybody. And then growing and learning more about myself and seeing if I was open to a relationship. I was like, there's nothing out there for me, honestly. And I have a different perspective of relationship as well. That's why I didn't really just go into it, because here it's easy for people to just do things short term and there's no really commitment, or they feel like, we're just using it to pass time, so why don't you just get it along? And I don't want that. I don't have the time for that, and I don't want the emotional baggage for that. I don't have the emotional, capacity for that. So I was like, no, I don't want that.
So has any Chinese guy ever come to you and ask for your number or?
Never. The most the Chinese guy has ever done for me is call me a car when I was really looking confused. But maybe I should have actually taken his WeChat or his number or something. He was so chill and nice, and I was just there struggling. And then he came up to me literally in English and he's like, hey, do you need help? And I was like, yes, I need help. But then he just helped me and disappeared. That was it.
Maybe he was just shy.
For foreigners, it's like some people come here with a plan. I think it was just me who didn't come here with a plan. Some people come here with a plan. They're like, okay, I get here this time and I, see what's in the ocean, see what options are available. I didn't even think about that. People were already thinking in advance and they got it as soon as they came here, or they're preparing to get something as soon as they come here. It's like, you really thought about this. I didn't think about it. So foreigners, they always have some sort of plan and they want this kind of thing or that kind of thing. And there's so many things deeper, even in dating scene, like, even with race, and it's like, oh, you are an African dating another African, of course, from two different countries, or someone from a different race dating. It's this whole thing. But honestly, I don't mind dating outside my race. It's just that I never got a chance to date someone who was a foreigner.
For you, what's the best and the worst of living in China?
Wow. Honestly, I feel like I experienced the worst times during COVID. It was one of the worst times. The lockdown was really stressful.
It was hard.
There's layers to it, honestly. Like, I could go on and on about things that went horrible and that wasn't so fun. And being far away from home when, other students could go back to their parents' hometown. They could take the trains or the flights, go back home, Chinese students. But I couldn't do that. If you went out, you're not coming back in.
Yeah.
And for a while, they were just treating us as people who they didn't want to be responsible for. They just wanted us indoors, do not go out, send your code every 2 weeks. You must not do this, this, and this. It was more of like an experiment. They didn't know what to do with us, and it was really hard. It was really, really hard. And even after I complained multiple times, the only thing was like, oh, they send out a survey and ask you if you're missing home, if you're having suicidal thoughts. And I'm like, no.
They actually sent a survey?
There was a survey. Honestly, there was a survey about that in 2020. And I complained so hard. I was like, I think the whole of Suzhou is open now, so we can go out of the dorm, because I was on the campus then. So I was locked in for months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they sent a survey asking us if we miss home, what we like about home, and all these weird questions. And I didn't even fill the survey. I was like, no, this can't be happening. I just want to go outside and socialize. I don't want to be inside where it's so quiet. I was exercising every day because I had the whole school to myself, and there were just a few people on campus, and that was it. It was so empty, so boring. The canteen wasn't even open, like it was closed completely. There was nothing for us there.
Were you allowed to go out of your room?
Yes, you could go out of the room. So I could just only go around the campus, but I couldn't go outside of the campus gates.
And was there anyone else living in the campus with you?
Yeah, I had like Gerald and Caleb who were living there, and some other people, master students mostly, and then there were a few PhD students as well. But everybody was kind of doing their own thing. At some point, I even thought some people were not even there because it was so quiet. And
oh my God, yeah,
I watched all the movies. I started even reading books. I picked up my reading habit again during lockdown because there was nothing to do. There was nothing more to do. And even after going out of campus, it still got worse. You know, they still kept asking questions. When I was living on my own apartment with my friends, you still be like, don't go anywhere, don't go outside of Suzhou, send your code, you must not do this, you must fill this form. It was just an unending cycle. Everything just ended a few months ago, and now, you know, people are free to go about. So
I get it, because I was also studying in the same university, and I had the same restrictions. But yeah, suddenly it went just.
I even traveled before they locked the train station. I went to Shenzhen just, you know, to have fun during Chinese New Year. And Shenzhen is not really cold. It was like 19 degrees. So it was super nice. Suzhou was really cold at that time. Then I got back and they're like, oh, you've been to the south, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And they took us to the main campus. But I was like, I can't even go there for 2 weeks. I'm just going to be there for a week. And they brought a photographer to take pictures. And there was a whole article about how they're taking care of their student. I was like, guys, that makes no sense. I was so pissed. If you see the pictures today, maybe I should actually send you the picture. If you see the picture, there's a picture of me wearing my face mask, and I'm just like looking at, and the picture we took, everybody stood in close proximity with each other. So I'm like, you guys are trying so hard to say, oh, you want to prevent the student from having COVID, but you brought a photographer to show that, you know, we're in quarantine and everything. It was really confusing to me. And I didn't like that experience at all. And I had a huge fight with my teacher, honestly. It was stressful. But I went for a week, and that was it. I came back. And I settled down because I was like, okay, don't get too angry, just chill and just pray and just relax, just do what they want and go back to school. And that's what I did. So we only get a mask, and yeah, that was it. And they were always spraying our room with something all the time. I just thought it was really funny. Now it's funny, then it was really annoying. Now it's funny.
I guess it was very, very hard for all of us foreigners,
everybody,
not to go back
all foreigners,
home and everything. But what about the best of China? What's the thing you like the most?
Honestly, I'll say the people.
The people.
Things are really accessible here. I really like that, you know, you be in your room, it's very convenient, that's the word, thank you. You be in your room and you can order the whole of Suzhou to your room. It's like, you could order new shoes right to your doorstep. It's very convenient. Even if you didn't like the shoes, you can take it back. Like, it's like, oh, I don't want the shoes.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know.
You have everything in your phone.
Yeah, even with the population, there's still things they have to manage the whole thing, you know, with transportation. There's a lot of things that are convenient. You need your phone. If you carry your phone with you, you can do anything. Even if you get lost, like, you can find your way back. There is no problem at all. It's really convenient, and the people as well, like, meeting new people along the way has been one of the best things that have happened to me, honestly. I formed like really solid friendships, and I'm really grateful for that, you know. Even though most of my friends are no longer in China, which is hard. It's like everybody is scattered in different countries, but I know that, oh yeah, you know, we're still friends, and we can still meet each other any part of the world. I mean, if I go to Spain, I know I can find someone there. If I go to Canada, there's like, oh yeah, it's like people I can find there, and it's like all these interesting things. So yeah, the people.
It's nice, right?
It's very
like
nice.
Having like a small home somewhere.
Yeah, like an extended family in all parts of the world. I think it's really nice.
In the end, why are you leaving?
I'm leaving because I got what I came here for, which is my degree. So I got my degree, and I'm looking forward to a new opportunity. China has really exposed me to, you know, the international setting, I'll say, because it's outside of my home country, it's outside from what I know. I'm open to other opportunities, new places, and yeah, I think I was a bit stressed having stayed here the past 3 years, you know, with everything that has happened. I'm like, okay, it's been 4 years since I've been home. It's been nice to actually go home and also, a long time, and also experience something else outside of home as well.
What's your dream life? What does it look like, and where do you see yourself in, let's say, 10 years?
If I were to say 10 years from now, where I see myself, it's just being established in my career, I'll say that, and maybe having a family as well. Just using my gifts. It might be in my country, it might not be in my country. I'm actually open to going outside of my country. I really would want to experience that, like to live outside of my country. Now that I've done it, it's like, oh yeah, I think I'll be an expat forever. So yeah, just being established in my career and actually using my gifts where it matters. That's it.
What is your biggest dream overall?
What is my biggest dream overall? Honestly, I can't put a finger on it, to be honest. I cannot say it's one thing that I think that would be my biggest dream overall because I feel like success is different for everyone. I just want to, that's why I said established in a career or just my career path, and using my gift where it matters and where it's making other people benefit, where people can benefit or where people are happy. That's just it for me. And just, serving where I can serve, basically.
How much money would be your dream salary in 10 years?
Guys, we don't even know what the economic system will be like in 10 years.
In
10 years, but I want to be able to afford the things that I want. That's how much money I want. Be able to afford what I want. The apartment I'm staying in, which is a nice apartment with a big kitchen and many rooms. Maybe at least 3 rooms. Anything above that as well.
In today's money, let's say like
in today's money,
reference.
Like per month, maybe $15K.
$15,000.
15 is pretty.
That's
if
nice.
It's today, because, and if I think about it the way I'm living now, 50K is okay for me. Like, I don't need it for any, but if I have kids, more than that for sure. That's why I'm like, I don't know where the economy will be in the next 10 years, and kids are pretty expensive. So I think if I have kids, that means I'm going to be rich. Or I have plans to be rich, or just have a great savings somewhere.
Thank you a lot, Dania, for speaking to us and sharing all your thoughts and all my questions and sharing your experiences
in
about
this
living here.
Humid and hot weather. Thank you. It was nice.
It's hot today. See you. Bye.
Bye.